Welcome to Business Decoded, where we break down how companies really make money. Let's decode today's business model. You bought an iPhone, then AirPods because they pair perfectly, then an Apple Watch because it works with your iPhone, then a Mac because your photos sync, then an iPad because everything connects. Before you realized it, you spent $4,000 and you're trapped. Switching to Android now means losing everything. That's not an accident. That's the business model. Today, we're breaking down how Apple engineered the most profitable trap in tech, why every product is designed to make you buy another Apple product, how the ecosystem generates hundreds of billions in recurring revenue, and why you'll probably never escape. Here's what we're covering. The psychology behind Apple's ecosystem trap. How hardware is the gateway drug to services addiction, why switching costs are intentionally unbearable, and whether you're actually trapped or just think you are. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is for educational purposes only, not business or legal advice. Company references are from public sources for educational commentary. Trademarks belong to their owners. Consult qualified professionals before making business decisions. Let's start with how the trap works. Apple doesn't sell products. They sell an ecosystem. The business model isn't, buy an iPhone and you're done. It's, buy an iPhone and you'll need everything else we make. Every product works best with other Apple products and deliberately worse with competitors. This isn't a bug, it's the strategy. You start with an iPhone. Then you notice AirPods pair instantly. One tap, connected. Android headphones require manual pairing every time. You buy AirPods for $150. Now you're in deeper. Next comes Apple Watch. You see friends tracking workouts, getting notifications, using Apple Pay without pulling out their phone. Apple Watch only works with iPhone. Not Android, just iPhone. If you want the watch, you need the phone. $400 later, you own two Apple products that only work together. Then you need a computer. Your iPhone photos are in iCloud. Your messages sync. Your passwords autofill. A Mac integrates perfectly. Windows integration is clunky. Continuity features like AirDrop and Handoff only work between Apple devices. You buy a Mac for $1,500. An iPad makes sense now. It syncs with everything. Your photos, files, apps, subscriptions. $500 more. You're $4,000 deep, and switching becomes nearly impossible. The switching cost isn't just money. If you switch from iPhone to Android, you lose iMessage. Group chats break. You can't FaceTime. Your Apple Watch stops working entirely. Your AirPods still work with Android, but you lose instant pairing and spatial audio. Your Mac still works, but your phone doesn't sync. Your photos don't upload. Your messages don't appear on your computer. Switching one product means compromising the entire system. This is intentional friction. Apple designs products to integrate seamlessly with each other and poorly with everything else. The better the ecosystem works, the harder it is to leave. This lock-in is worth hundreds of billions. In fiscal 2025, Apple generated $433 billion in revenue. iPhone was $220 billion. But services generated $111 billion. That's App Store subscriptions, iCloud storage, Apple Music, Apple TV+. Services have 70% gross margins. That's $78 billion in gross profit from services alone, and services only exist because of the ecosystem. You pay for iCloud storage because your photos sync across devices. You subscribe to Apple Music because it integrates with HomePod. You buy apps through the App Store because you're on iPhone. Apple takes 30% of every subscription you buy through iPhone. Subscribe to Spotify through iPhone? Apple gets 30%. The ecosystem forces all transactions through Apple's toll booth. Here's the genius. Hardware is the gateway drug, services are the addiction. Apple sells you an iPhone at 45% gross profit. But the real money is the decade of iCloud subscriptions, App Store purchases, and Apple Music fees you'll pay while locked in. The lifetime value of an iPhone customer isn't $950. It's thousands over 10 years. Apple also monetizes through accessories. Once you own an iPhone, you need a case, charger, cable, screen protector. Apple sells these at 70 to 80% gross margins. MagSafe charging only works with Apple's magnetic system. Even when Apple switched to USB-C, they engineered it so non-Apple cables charge slower. The ecosystem also drives upgrade cycles. You don't upgrade because your iPhone breaks. You upgrade because a new iPhone works better with your other devices. New AirPods support spatial audio but only with recent iPhones. New Apple Watches have features requiring newer iPhones. You're not upgrading one product. You're maintaining compatibility across the ecosystem. Apple's retention rate is 92%. Once you're in, you don't leave. Compared to Android, where users switch brands constantly. They're all Android, so switching is easy. Apple is the only iPhone. Switching means leaving the entire ecosystem. The retention rate proves the trap works. But is this trap bad? From Apple's perspective, it's brilliant. They've built the most profitable company in tech by making products that work beautifully together. Customer satisfaction is high because the ecosystem delivers value. Seamless integration is real. The products genuinely work better together. From the consumer perspective, it's complicated. If you value convenience and integration, the ecosystem is worth the premium. Apple products work seamlessly. iMessage is better than SMS. AirDrop is easier than emailing files. The ecosystem genuinely solves problems. But you pay with money and freedom. You pay premium prices, and you lose the ability to choose best-of-breed products from different companies. The trap becomes problematic when you want to leave. Maybe Apple's prices are too high. Maybe you want Android's customization. Maybe you want a foldable phone Apple doesn't make. The ecosystem makes leaving painful enough that most people stay even when unhappy. That's when lock-in crosses from convenience to coercion. Apple faces risks from this model. First, regulators are targeting the ecosystem. The EU forced Apple to allow third-party app stores on iPhone. This threatens the 30% App Store tax. If Apple loses control, the lock-in weakens. Revenue from services could drop by tens of billions. Second, competitors are learning. Google is building better ecosystem integration between Android, Chromebooks, and Pixel. Samsung connects phones, tablets, and TVs. Microsoft links Windows, Xbox, and Surface. As competitors catch up, Apple's advantage shrinks. Third, consumer backlash. Every time Apple removes features to push people toward new products, customers complain. Removing headphone jacks forced people to buy AirPods. Removing chargers forced people to buy new chargers. These tactics work short-term but build resentment long-term. The bull case is the ecosystem is sustainable indefinitely. People who enter stay forever. Services revenue grows. Apple expands into new categories like Vision Pro, creating more lock-in points. The bear case is the trap becomes unsustainable. Regulators break the App Store monopoly. Competitors offer equivalent integration at lower prices. Consumers revolt. The ecosystem fragments, retention drops. For you, the question is whether you're in the trap and whether you want out. If you own multiple Apple products, calculate your actual switching cost. What would you lose? iMessage? FaceTime? Seamless photo syncing? Are these worth the premium you're paying? Could you replicate them with Android at half the cost? If you're happy in the ecosystem, lean in. The integration gets better the deeper you go. If you feel trapped and resentful, plan your exit. Switch one product at a time. Start with accessories. Move to Android but keep your Mac. Test the pain points. Maybe switching isn't as bad as you think. The ecosystem trap is real. Apple engineered it deliberately. It generates hundreds of billions and locks in a billion customers. Whether it's beautiful integration or exploitative lock-in depends on whether you feel served or trapped. Here's what to do. Audit your Apple spending for the last year. Add up hardware, accessories, subscriptions, App Store purchases. Then calculate what you'd pay for equivalent Android products and Google services. The difference is the ecosystem tax. Decide if the integration is worth it. If yes, you're getting value. If no, you're trapped and paying for it. Now, next time on Business Decoded, we're examining Google's free products that aren't actually free. If you've never paid Google $1, where does the money come from, and what are you giving them in exchange? You bought an iPhone and got trapped. AirPods only pair perfectly with iPhone. Apple Watch only works with iPhone. Mac syncs best with iPhone. $4,000 later, switching is impossible. That's Apple's business model. The ecosystem trap works because once you're in, leaving costs more than staying. And that's how they built it. If this helped you understand business better, subscribe for weekly deep dives into the world's most successful companies. Thanks for watching.